Well, hello, Wine Warriors. Jason here from the Wine Wars podcast. This episode of Wine Wars is sponsored by Winc. I'm currently enjoying a nice little Sauv Blanc. It's 80 degrees here in Wisconsin, and this is the perfect little summer white. You too can enjoy a bottle of Winc wine. Go to trywinc.com/Wine Wars. That's trywinc.com/Wine Wars, and you will get free shipping plus $20 off 4 bottles of custom selected wine. In this month's shipment of Winc, I got a 2016 Sauv Blanc from Outer Sounds from New Zealand. It's actually a very nice little bottle. On the nose, I was getting a lot of minerally green apple. On the palate, I was getting some nice, it was kind of a ripe nectarine. And I think this sucker would go pretty nicely with some figs and some sea salty crackers. If you want to know more about Sauv Blanc in general, you can visit our Wine Wars episode 14. And if you want to know more about New Zealand wines, you can visit episode 57. Again, that's trywinc.com/Wine Wars to get $20 off your first shipment of Winc wine.
This week's episode of Wine Wars is also sponsored by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/Wine Wars for a 30-day free trial and free audiobook of your choice. With over 180,000 titles to choose from, no matter what you want to learn about, Audible has you covered. Being that we have a wine educator on today's episode as a guest, we're recommending you check out A Natural History of Wine. Again, for a free audiobook and 30-day free trial of Audible, go to audibletrial.com/Wine Wars. Enjoy the show.
Previously on Wine Wars.
And our unofficial fifth member is Anna Jason's doodle here, Theo. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh, hey, how old is that dog?
He's not being a good boy right now because he probably
stubborn.
has to peek.
14?
Yeah.
That's a Labradoodle?
Yeah.
That's like a Labradoodle before it was a thing. That's like Labradoodle Zero, basically.
He's OG.
Yeah.
First generation.
I've never seen or heard of one that old.
I know.
Cool.
I have to go to the bathroom.
What?
Are you serious?
Yes. Okay. I've been doing a lot of work.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you guys noticed.
Honey, go collect yourself.
Wine Wars, the show with 4 friends who love 3 things: wine and Star Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the 4 of us as we sniff, sip, and talk about wine live from our basement here in Madison, Wisconsin. I am your excellent host and spectator, and with me as always are Amy. Hello. Good evening. Scott.
Hello, Ann. How are you?
Good. Jason.
Hey there.
And guess what?
What?
What? We have somebody else tonight.
Do we?
We do. A very, very special guest, Kristen Ellis. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Hello.
Hello again.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
You are.
Happy Sunday.
Yes. You're piping in from, where are you?
Chicago, the beautiful Chicago, Illinois. It was a lovely, lovely day today. We had the air show this weekend and airplanes flying overhead the last 48 hours. It's been fantastic.
Do they fly over Lake Michigan?
They do, yeah.
Oh.
And it's from like 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. So it's an all-day thing. You can hear them, and it's fantastic.
Do they do skywriting?
I'm sorry?
Do they do skywriting?
Skywriting, not so much. Not so much. It's more about like making you freak out about the gymnastics they're doing with the airplanes.
I think I would like that better.
It's
Like
it's
scare
out of
me
control.
with your power.
It's pretty. I mean, to be able to do that, it's something I could never do. It's nothing but respect to those guys and girls that get in those planes and fly literally like within feet of each other's. You know what I mean?
my
Like
gosh.
I think about that, and my brain just goes. I just can't fathom it. Yeah. I'd rather stick to fermented grape juice. It's a lot safer.
100% agree.
A little more predictable than 2 huge
Absolutely.
hunks of metal flying through the air
Exactly.
at each other.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of, we met Kristen, air quotes, can you feel them? We met Kristen because Jason and Scott actually met Kristen through your WeSet training. So tell us about how that all came to pass.
Yeah, so we talked about this back in March, I believe, that Jason and I were going to go through the program, and we never really did a follow-up because we were kind of waiting for something exactly like this where we could really go through the whole program and how it was for us and everything. So
We didn't pass, so...
no. We passed. We did fine.
You guys did pretty well, right? I
Yeah.
never followed up. I would think so.
I got all the alcohol questions totally wrong. I got all the wine right. Alcohol, not so good.
You didn't spend much time on the spirits portion?
Actually, I spent way more time studying it, but I still did not get the answers correct.
Oh man, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
normal.
I was actually kind of surprised by that. The amount of spirits questions in proportion, because to everything
Yes.
else, right?
That they'll surprise you sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, Jason and I went through the program down in Chicago through the American Wine School, and our teacher for the first day was Kristen, and she was great. It was a small class, maybe 6 to 8 people, something like that.
Yep.
And she does this practically every day. This is her full-time gig, and we were just very excited to be in the class with her, and she was great. Lots of knowledge, very personable.
And you said that she swears a lot.
She swears a lot, apparently. Yeah.
I don't know if she swore in the class so much.
Oh.
The shit words just come out. Yeah. I don't.
Like, she sounds like a guest of Wine Wars.
I gotta be me. Yeah, I gotta be me. So
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about bung holes 45 minutes ago.
We
so.
were, yeah.
smell the
24/7.
bunghole. Yeah.
I think we're the only explicit rated wine and Star Wars podcast
That's
out
for
there.
sure the only
We're proud of
explicit
that.
wine and Star Wars podcast.
Challenge accepted, my friends. Challenge accepted.
Awesome.
So, Kristen, I guess just tell us a little bit about how you found your way to wine.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It goes back many moons. No, but I'm in my early 20s, finishing school. I went to college in Milwaukee, at UWM there.
Cool.
And I finished as a history teacher. So I did a double major, double minor, and graduated. And kind of thinking, man, I'm going to do the same old thing, get into a contract and start teaching. And early 20s, just not quite ready, just felt I was just too immature and kind of, they deserved better. So I didn't do that. And I had some friends that lived in Rome and a friend of a friend who taught English there and owned an English school. So instead of teaching history in high school, I went and I taught English in Rome. So I went there, checked it out. It was cool. Came back home, sold all of my belongings, sold my car, got rid of my apartment. Had like a garage sale to my friends, TV, furniture, just like everything's got to go. I packed my life in a suitcase and hopped a one-way ticket to Rome. And that was going to be for a year, and that turned out to be 6 long years in Europe, which was fantastic.
That is so cool.
Didn't you tell us that you didn't you do something at the Vatican?
Sure, yeah. So being that I'm a student and teacher of history and had been before I moved, I kind of started chumming with, it was just like fate, the tour guide crowd, and a guy that I lived with for a short time owned a company, and he's just like, you're a history teacher, you're perfect, you should be a historical tour guide. So I began to really get deep into the culture and history, more so, kind of specializing, if you will, knowing the basics and having read a lot of this information and knowing it before, nonetheless getting really buttoned up and started giving tours. And before you know it, I was ditching the teaching gig, and I was just focusing in the Vatican museums and giving tours of St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, the ancient city, the Colosseum, City Center, you name it.
That's
so
awesome.
in that,
Oh my gosh.
in that culture, I'm learning to speak the language, which I do pretty well, and it's hard to not get into wine when you live in Italy. It's impossible, It's like walking down the street with your eyes closed. You just can't do it, So I started to chum with sommeliers and other guides, and they were doing food and wine tours. This is relatively early on, and then I started to study in my own right, and I took part in WSET up in Tuscany, actually. So that's where I started to legitimately study and become certified, and then I started to do wine tours in Rome and Italy, and just kind of went from there. So I hosted the corporate office of Binny's Beverage Depot here in Chicago and in the state of Illinois. They kind of kept an eye on me, and when I moved back to the States 4 years ago, about 4.5 years ago, they kind of made sure that I had a home, and they hired me on, and now I'm the education director for the wine program for Binny's, so it's fantastic. And then on top of that, pretty much at the same time, I met Mary Ann France. She is the owner of the American Wine School, a fantastic boss, lovely mentor. She's wonderful. So I kind of got hired by her kind of concurrently, if you will. And so what I decided to do was put both of my jobs together. So I brought Binny's and American Wine School together, and now we run a contract where we certify all of our staff at Binny's Beverage Depot through the WSET, with her, and host her classes then for us at our locations, plus teaching on the weekends and evenings. And so that's that. So I'm in the final. You guys did intermediate level 2.
Yeah.
And you're about to embark on advanced level 3 in the fall in October.
That's right. We need all the crib notes.
You're gonna need it. Yeah, I've got more than you could ever want. But so I did the whole thing. Started 2 and then did 3 many moons ago, and then now I'm in diploma. So diploma is the last and final level of the Wine and Spirit Education Trust certification program.
How many numbers are before that?
Years. Excuse me?
How many numbers are before diploma?
3. So the level 4 is diploma. Yeah.
Okay.
There's technically an advanced diploma level 5, but I don't really know who does that, or I don't know anybody that has done that. So technically there's a 5th, but if you put yourself through 4, who cares? I don't think you're going to go on. You're just done, So yeah, it's 3 calendar years, 6 exams. I'm in the middle of Unit 5 right now, which is Sparkling Wines of the World. That exam will be beginning of November. And then I've got my big old Unit 3 exam in June. So I'm going to kind of disappear and sink into the books. We've invented a verb, which is to cruddy, which is to cry and study simultaneously. And that is what you do when you take part in things like WSET diploma. So there's that. My friend Aubrey made it up, and it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a wine glass is really well situated for collecting tears while
exactly.
you
Right. It's like the Chateauneuf is some
salty.
salinity to it. Yeah. Those are my tears. Tears of joy when it's over, though. And it's all worth it. So it's
So
I'm happy to do it.
You're 2.5 years into that then? 2.5 years?
Yeah, I'm halfway done.
Yeah.
Halfway done. So I'll be bubbles this fall, then the big Unit 3, which is, like a 50-hour theory essay exam, and then a blind tasting of 12 wines. And then I have to finish up with spirits after that, but that'll be fine because I'm a big fan of gin and bourbon, and so I think I'll be okay there.
Don't pull a Jason and get all of them wrong.
Good advice.
Promise.
So
Hey, let me say something about Binny's real quick. So I'm down in Chicago quite a bit, and I always stop in Binny's and pick up wines. And I am always so impressed with just how knowledgeable all the wine staff is there.
Oh, yeah.
And I can throw pretty decent curveballs at them, and everybody's very knowledgeable. So congratulations to you, because
Well, I
doing
can't
your
take
job.
credit for it. They put the work and the time in, and they're the ones who are responsible for being so good. I'm just there as a resource and to lend a guiding hand when I can. So it's all them, absolutely. But thank you. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
We had a good Pinot from Binny's last night.
yeah.
Pinot Committee.
Smith and Elliott, or Elliott and Smith Pinot Noir from Binny's.
Oregon Pinot last night.
Nice.
Anyway, that was wonderful. It's on my Twitter.
The 14,
At Ann Spectator.
the
What's that?
14s and 15s that are coming out are just great. They're drinking
From Oregon?
fantastically. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 14s more in the market now than the 15s, but yeah, they're just wonderful. So we're sitting on 2 really great vintages on the shelves right now. So it's buy up because
grab
things
them.
are beautiful.
Cool.
I had the Patricia Green, Leah's Vineyard, the other day. That wine is just fantastic. The Arkberry Maresh, the Dundee Hills. AVA, that wine it's killer, man. Killer. So
If you wanted to start a little cellar going on, how long, and you wanted to buy a bunch of this Pinot that you're talking about, how long does that last?
how long would I wait before I'd pop the Pinot, or how long will they age? Sure. Well,
both.
There's a lot that goes into that question. Depends on, obviously, producer, AVA, vintage, what they do. You know what I mean? So a typical, maybe broader Oregon Pinot, those are kind of meant to be drunk young, fresh, and fruity right away. If we're going to get a little bit tighter, one of the broader AVAs, or even just a larger Willamette Valley AVA, which is, I believe, the largest AVA in the state, then those might not last as long. But when we start to get into some of the higher-end producers, Rocco Winery, for example, Sokol Blosser and their high-end stuff, Beaufrere, which is just, it's expensive, but so freaking worth the money. These guys generally need a few years to hang out. So, you could hold on to them for 3, 5, 7, 15 years, and just anytime is in a good vintage. You'd have a different experience anytime you pop the cork, but they're definitely built to last. Yeah. So if you're talking about a cellar for collecting versus what I have in my house, which is what I call a drinking cellar.
I think I like that better.
It's kind of just sort of paying attention, keeping, pretty good but loose records as to what I've got in my inventory, and kind of pulling things out versus, during holidays, just whenever, and just kind of keeping it. The collectibles down underneath, the drinkers, I save. I'll hold on to things in my fridge for, a year or two, and then I'm like, oh, this is back there, and pull it out, that kind of thing. So the ones I don't want to drink go downtown in a storage facility, and then the others that I can play with they spend time between my basement and my wine fridge in my apartment. So that's kind of how I do it. But I know a lot of people that go crazy, and they have just, the resources, A, to do that, but B, they just really love it, and they're older, they're 50, 55, they've been collecting for a long, long time, so they're sitting on just stockpiles of amazing wines, and that's just a really great place to be, you can do that.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the perks of getting old.
Yes, absolutely.
If you've collected along the way.
You can afford more stuff, and you've got some old wine, hopefully. But yeah, it's, so the collecting, getting started, you can collect wines that are, $150, $200, or you can kind of shelve wines that are $25 if you just kind of know what to look for. And there's no sort of price moniker as to what you've got to do to call it a collection.
Yeah.
So what I kind of call lovingly my drinking cellar are just things that I like over time that I hang on to for, whatever I deem an appropriate amount of time. And there's kind of, feel lucky opening. And hopefully, I'm pleased when I pop the cork. Every time you pop a corked bottle, it's a disappointment, but and sometimes those situations hurt more than others.
Yeah.
I was in Champagne in April, and I got a Rosé de Rice. Do you guys know there are 3 AOCs in Champagne, and there's a Rosé AOC, and it's super, super rare. So I searched around in Ross for this bottle, and I got it, and it's 2005, and this chick's like, do this. I'm like, all right, I'm going to spend the money. And I brought it all the way home, and I had it sit, for a few months to rest, and I brought it to my tasting group, and I popped it, and it was corked as hell. It was just like nasty. Yeah, and that was just like, I had to sit there and just like lament over it for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you get over it. It's just part of, so you have these special moments, these wines you want, and then you end up kind of shooting yourself in the foot. But other times you're rewarded tenfold. You pop a cork, and you just wait and hope and pray, and sometimes most of the time it's great.
We've been really lucky at Wine Wars. So many of our guests have been women, and actually young women. And you also are a young woman in wine and a leader in this business. And I'm just wondering what that's like for you, if you've any.
Oh man, yeah. It's been interesting. It's kind of been a meteoric sort of rise for me since I since I landed in Chicago. And now I am where I am, and all the opportunities that I get, and been doing the podcast with GN, and just the privilege to be able to sort of have a hand in the development of the company and all those things. It's crazy because a lot of people that I chum with have been here in this business for decades.
Right.
And so I just try to learn as much as I can, listen as much as I can, and I'm completely humbled. But I don't know it all. I know you guys have like MWs on the show, and I'm getting there, but at the same time, it's just like there's just so much to know. And so I just try to make it fun, easy as possible, and just be as helpful as I can. So to be a young woman in the business, there are, we can sit there and go on about all the things about being a woman in the liquor business, but we don't really, it kind of goes without saying. It's definitely still a man's world, but I find that it's becoming more and more prevalent and easier every day for women to be promoted. And it's not just the question of, is it the right woman anymore, which I hated when I heard. It's more like, is this the right person for the position and the job? And so it's really fun to see and fun to be a part of. So I'm happy to fill that demographic. I don't feel so young, but apparently I am. So that's great. I'll take it.
It seems like you have so many more years of learning and experiences ahead of you.
Losing your tooth enamel.
Yeah.
Oh man, you have no idea. Like, it's super hard. I've got all the enamel building toothpaste.
Yeah.
You know, I have stock in Sensodyne. Yeah, it's hard.
That's all that I use.
I've been having some issues lately. I don't know if you guys run into this, but I mean, I'll go through classes. I went through one a few months back. We did champagne, we did all sauce, and Burgundy tasting in the same day from like 10 to 6. And my teeth hurt for 2 weeks after that. Like, it just, oh man, it's, yeah. So I'm having problems, but I just grin and bear it. And I'll probably, when you see me next, smile and look like George Washington. Whatever. You know, it's worth it, man. You know, it's all worth it.
That's awesome. Well, we should be pouring something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, let's start drinking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Kill some
mentioned
teeth.
your wine history really started in Italy. So the first wine you suggested for us to try tonight was a Barbaresco. So please tell us about it.
Well, I figured I'd kind of pick these 3 wines today, sort of based on my experience in wine, kind of where I was coming from, sort of present day, and then kind of future in a way. So Produttori, this is a Barbaresco, obviously 100% Nebbiolo. What's the vintage on there you guys have? Is it the
I think it's a
14?
2014.
13.
14?
Oh, it's a 13, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a really awkward photo of myself in Aldo Vaca at a restaurant here called Osteria Langhe. It's pretty epic. I'll send it to you guys via email. I look freaky, but just kind of, I love what they represent in the region. So the reason I took this wine or chose this wine is because people ask me, you know, bucket list, desert island, what are your wines? And I always say 2 things. I say, first, it's Nebbiolo, all kinds, and then it's champagne, all kinds, you know, true champagne. So those are the 2. Those are my 2 favorites. So I love Nebbiolo. I cut my teeth in Italian wine. I cut my teeth in the old world. I'm really quite old world oriented. When I moved to the States, I had quite a deficit in many holes as far as American producers are concerned and brands and things. So I had a lot of growing to do there. But when it comes to Italian wine, it's like going home, man. Every time I pop a cork and I smell it, it just has that smell. That the way I sort of describe it to people is like, you know, when you walk into your grandmother's house and it just smells like your grandma's house, and you can't describe it, you can't put really a name on it other than that and that feeling. And that's kind of how I feel, honestly, every time I pop an Italian cork. It's a special thing for me. So my Italian family, my mother's side is Italian going back, and they're Piedmontese. So when we had that connection and I was moving to Italy, it was very special to us to sort of relive those sorts of connections. And so the reason I chose a Barbaresco kind of is multifold. It's my heritage, it's my blood, it's my experience in Italy, it's my first instances in wine, in the wine business, and it's the best goddamn wine that Italians produce. I mean, hands down, is Barolo and Barbaresco, and, you know, who can hate it? Nobody. You know?
Isn't Barbaresco the queen of wines? Or queen of...
Well, there are a couple different regions in the world where they're kind of like the king and the queen, you know?
Okay.
So yes, they said Barolo is the king, and wine for kings, or king of wine for kings kind of thing, and then Barbaresco follows suit as the queen. And the main reason people say this, I think, there's some folklore between back in the day, the Barolo was for a king and the Barbaresco actually was for a queen, and that's how it kind of got that name. But more or less, it's come to be known as Barolo is generally the more masculine, deeper, brooding, you know, version of Nebbiolo here, pure, you know, expression of it. And Barbaresco is generally approachable, earlier, more feminine style, lighter tannins, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the idea. Barolo is just a bigger, fatter wine that just needs more time.
Yeah.
I would say that this Barbaresco is more how you just described Barbaresco to be.
Yeah.
Lighter, feminine.
Easy,
I always
easier,
I always smell rose on Piedmont wines.
Yeah, people get a lot of that floral element from it, but I just love the different stages. Nebbiolo can really take you on a ride, and if you drink super young, you know, cru Barolo from a good vintage, it's not always fun.
Yeah.
Those wines need time. It's kind of like drinking young Côte Rôtie. It sucks, actually. It's just like, ugh. You just need time. They're too mean. So, you know, 10, 15, 20 years in the cellar is not unheard of as a general, you know, aging term people will give to, or aging time people will give to Barolo. So this particular producer, or this co-op rather, Produttori, they're just fantastic. in Aldovaca, who's kind of like a leader in Barbaresco, has been in the business forever, and he's just such a monumental force. And so to be able to actually meet him and go to dinner with him was just really special for me. And I like the wines. They've got their 10 single vineyard Barbarescos that they do in good years, and they really do. They're kind of the driving force, I feel, to learn about co-ops in Piedmont and kind of the change and the shift and how things are moving, especially as we get to think, producers that kind of toe the line and coming back from that more modern trend that we saw in the last 10 years, and then that kind of divide between the two, the modernists and the traditionalists, and those people that sort of run down the middle. And I find with Barbaresco, these guys just hold on to their morals. They're inclusive with their 54 producers that they work with, and they just give really good, solid, moderately priced Barbaresco year after year. So.
Can you describe a little bit for listeners the co-op style of production versus like a single chateau or?
Sure. So co-ops basically are just kind of in any sense of a cooperative. So what co-ops do in wine is basically they have a different growers that maybe come together and they make they ferment their grapes together and make base wine together, and they could sell it on, or then they make it as their own individual brand. So cooperatives just kind of bring in, the best of everybody. So if you have an area where you have a lot of growers, not everybody can afford a winery or equipment. So a lot of times you'll have growers that own these crew that do, really, really good farming. They're really good at farming. It sounded like Trump there for a second. They're really proficient and they're farmers, but they're not really winemakers. So these guys kind of look and search, and maybe this is just kind of one instance or one example of how they work. And they'll bring in all those grapes from their different farmers, and they'll make their wines together. So Produttori just kind of is 54 separate producers and growers that work together to create their brands, and they can sell to other people, make their own wine. They can do all kinds of things in a co-op, so it's really quite flexible.
I have to tell you what we did tonight. We went to the farmer. Madison has the most amazing farmers market, and right now is the perfect time of year to go. And I found a bundle of squash blossoms. So we made ricotta stuffed squash blossoms and then deep fried them in a beer batter, basically.
Lovely.
And then had them with this Barbaresco, which the idea came from when Jason and I were in Rome. I remember that on our very last night, I had already gained 10 pounds in like 8 days, but it was our last night, and
that's normal.
We had third dinner. It was final dinner, and we it was like a Rick Steves don't miss whatever. I went to this kitchen, and do you remember this?
Yeah, spectacular.
They came around with a plate of these steaming hot, oily squash blossoms with the wine, and it was like tear-inducing.
They're fiori zucca, they call them, and what they are is it's a zucchini flour with an anchovy and a piece of mozzarella rolled up, and they fry that. So it's called fiori zucca. Yeah. So you guys made it.
We did it wrong.
Pretty darn close. No, gosh,
but now we know.
It's awesome. Yeah.
We just needed anchovies and a totally different kind of cheese.
Okay, well, this weekend next year,
we'll
do that. Mark your calendars.
Come on over.
Yes, Kristen, join us.
I'm there.
Yeah, show us how to do it right.
So how do you guys feel about Nebbiolo and Piedmont wines and Italian wines in general and this particular bottle?
Ann and I were lucky early on in our wine world that our friend really got us. The guy who introduced us to wine was super heavy into Italian wines. So he would have a really good amount of wine tastings. And we met some great producers. He owned a wine shop in Oconomowoc. So he would bring producers in to do kind of real intimate tastings at his house. So we have been buying cases of wine for quite a while. So we're as deep into Italian wine as our Italian wine is far better than anything else that we know. And we've been to Italy twice. We did Tuscany and we did Piedmont, and it was pretty striking how different. Like Tuscany kind of felt like Disneyland almost, and then Piedmont felt like such a.
It's like rugged.
Rugged. Yeah. And so we're massive Italian wine fans here.
I love it. And I always say that with my memory of drink, you go on those tours and it's just, you drink so much in a day and then you come back and you're like, I wish I could separate in my mind memories of taste.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing. But my overriding memory of drinking in Langhe and throughout Piedmont was just roses. And it has a certain smell that I also feel like always smells like Piedmont to me. And I think that's what it is for me, the rose.
Cool.
The rose.
Good. That's a great experience. Yeah.
Hey, what's your
Rose? Go ahead.
what's your opinion of Arnaise? Because Anne, not a fan.
I have a hard time with that.
You have a hard time with Arnaise?
Like in terms of like, I hate it.
You're not the only one, you know. So Arnaise historically was saved more or less by a producer called Vietti, and so it's called the Little Rascal. You know, it's hard to grow. I think it kind of overcrops, and so it kind of fell out of favor. But was brought back by Vietti, and now they single-handedly had the last maybe hectare or whatever of it, however the story goes. But now we've got a few different producers dabbling, and even some of these Arnaise that make it into the market. Giacosa would be another producer that I like. Arnaise can be, I mean, if you hate it, you hate it. Whatever. It is what it is. It's kind of it can be a bit polarizing. For me, I find them to be a bit hot. They can be screamingly high in acidity. So oftentimes these wines might be better with a year or two of bottle age to kind of calm them down. But what do you hate about Arnaise? Because I think it's a lot.
Well, we went to I feel like we went to an amazing producer. We were at Negro, and we were with the whole family was there. And they're incredible, fun people. We were laughing our asses off for hours with them and eating uncontrollable amounts of food.
One of the best lunches ever. It was like a 3-4 hour lunch.
Spectacular experience. But when the Arnaise came out, I was like, what? I came across this big puddle over here to drink. I want to say it was like skunky, but I usually like skunky things. But
it can be a bit
just was like
cabbage-like.
not something I wanted. What was that?
Yeah, it can be a bit cabbage-like sometimes.
Yes,
and kind of a bit cheesy.
That's a good word.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
We've never used that descriptor, but it is totally.
That's what I'm struggling for.
Yeah, I don't mind the wine. I think it's. I think you can find good expressions of it, but if you don't like it, that is A-okay.
Well, I'm also
and you are not alone.
Yeah, and I could change my mind. Like, remember when we first started this, I would drink little single servings of Beringer, Merlot with spaghetti night, and tons and tons of buttery oaky shards.
Look how far you've come.
And it's changed over time. Yeah. So, and I'm also much older now, so I'm sure physically your taste buds change. And so, I'm open, but I do. Jason's always given me shit since that because I really was like sitting at this table trying to be cool, but I was like, do not pour another drop in my glass.
And I didn't have anywhere near the reaction to it that she had. Like, she was like physically like running away.
Repulsed.
Yeah. And I was like, this is fine. What?
Yeah. But, that can be a thing because, like, on this show, I usually say I'm the person who will drink anything and likes anything. And then I found something that I felt very strongly against.
We had a pet nat.
What?
It was a pet nat champagne style thing. You can probably explain this better than myself, but Petulant Natural Pet Nat is the style of bubbles production where they don't really complete the second fermentation. They leave the yeast in the bottle. Is that accurate?
Well, so it isn't. I mean, well, it just depends. It's like you got a couple different kinds. You have the ancestral method where they just basically the yeast go to sleep in the bottle and then they continue on. So it's a pause of the first fermentation, more or less. Does that make sense? So that can happen. Otherwise, or there's the unfiltered. They let it go and they do not disgorge, and it's cloudy. Yep.
Yeah.
And I've had that as well, and
Yeah, we had one that wasn't degorged, which is where you remove all the dead yeast. And we had it at a Square Wine Company, a wine shop here in Madison, and I liked it. But
and then the girl who will drink Manischewitz was like, not for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so curious
I
now.
handed away my sample. I was like, I can't.
that's awesome.
This is unheard of. This is like a Wine Wars exclusive.
Anyway, but so it happens. Like sometimes we find a wine where it's just maybe I have to wait 7 years till my taste buds all change out.
You don't have to like everything, and don't just kind of release yourself from the expectation that you're A, gonna like everything, and then B, don't feel bad about it. Right. Nothing's wrong with you because you don't like Arnaise.
Oh, I like that. So, like, it's not me, it's you.
No.
The wine.
It's the wine, yeah. But I find that people are like, oh, I don't like this. And they kind of, maybe not you specifically, but a lot of people, they kind of wonder, do I not have taste? Do I not know? And the answer is it a good wine? Well, do you like it? It's just, if you like it, then it's good. And if you don't, then it's not for you.
Yeah. And that's why wine can be so intimidating is you feel pressure to, I really have to like this, super expensive Napa cab because it's a super expensive Napa cab.
I got to talk myself into this or I'm not one of the cool kids.
Right. But if
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you get locked into it's supposed to be a good wine. It's got a certain price. It's got a certain pedigree, but then to you, it's not good. So at the end of the day, if you don't think it's good, it's not good.
Yeah. So if I could jump back to something Ann mentioned about 20 minutes ago, with yourself, women wine educators seem to be very open to that concept of, hey, if you don't like it, that's fine. Try something else. You mentioned we had a master of wine on here, Jennifer Simonetti Bryan, and she was very much of the same mindset. And I don't know if that is a male female thing.
But strong arm you into liking things.
Right. It may be, but I've noticed that with all the women in wine that we've talked with, that they're just like, hey, what do you like? And if you don't like it, that's fine. Let's find something else. And this is, this is an adventure that we want to find the right thing for you.
Well, that's just it, and it's part of the fun. I mean, nowadays, gosh, we're so lucky with globalization. We can get wine. We have access to like the breadth and depth of wines we can get right now in this day and age is just amazing. It's not like has ever been seen before. So if you don't like something, it's awesome to be able to just go literally right next to that particular wine on the shelf and get something, a completely different experience. And something that you might like 100%. Like it's part of the game. It's part of the fun. Everybody needs to just relax and just start trying new shit, man. Just pop corks, dude. That's what it's all about, So
speaking of popping corks and bubbles, I think
there was a perfect transition a little bit ago, and we just blew right past it.
Kristen's clapping alone in her apartment.
Jay, do you want to get the?
Did we talk about opening a bottle of bubbles in class? I don't remember. I don't think we did.
Is there a proper way to do it?
Yes. Of course, there's a proper way. Yes,
so it's not shaking the bottle in a locker room.
What we always say it's a little bit more open bottle, less shoot your eye out. So that's kind of what we're after here.
Sure, great.
It's just to be safe. So it's things like after you loosen the cage, don't remove the cage. Always keep your thumb over the cork.
That's a lesson we learned in episode 9.
Yeah,
we almost died in episode 9.
People do die.
People do
I think
die.
That was the most Star Wars kind of thing we've said yet.
People do
We
die.
almost died in episode 9. There is no episode 9, but you know what I mean.
Many podcast hosts died.
I'm just trying to get it in. Yeah.
Bring you this.
So in the
It's a death of
class, we did learn about opening up champagne in day 2. You didn't teach us. Sorry.
Who was your? Do you remember?
Do you remember
was it
his name?
Tony.
Tony. It was Tony. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, love Tony.
He's great.
He
was
just
great.
the best. Yep.
So you want to walk us through it? I remember, but why don't you, as you're the guest, and
if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just kind of talk us through what you're doing, and I can.
So
whoa.
Correct you
from
when you're
what
wrong.
I remember.
Harshly correct him when he's wrong, though. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You took the foil off.
Foil's gone.
Exposed the cork in the cage.
Expose the cork in the cage, but he said to leave your hand on the cage.
Yep.
And then
thumb on top.
and twist.
thumb on top.
Yep.
6 times to release the cage.
Yep. It's always 6.
It's released 6.
Okay.
And it
6.
was
I
the
counted.
approved break.
Now,
6.
kind of, holding on to the cork with your hand.
Are you holding on to it kind
There
of
you go.
weak ass
You hold
or
the
like
bottle
strong?
like this. So you hold the bottle at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And you hold on to the cork, and you twist the
bottle, yeah.
the bottom, and the cork will release. And you do not want a big ol'. You don't want that.
Yeah. You want a
big
nice
ol'-
sigh.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was too much.
It was great.
That was excessive.
What did you do wrong to make it pop?
You just open it too quick.
Just
Just
slower?
the cork's coming out, especially because it's been
It was-
sitting out
it was
since we've been
going,
talking.
yeah.
So because it's warmer now, the pressure builds. So the colder the bottle is, obviously, the less pressure there is inside. So as it warms up, the more pressure builds inside the bottle. So when you pop that cork, that baby's going to shoot out of it.
It has been sitting here for a minute.
So
too.
if he were to then, in opening it, kind of just push against the pressure, it would come out. So you have to just kind of just push more. That's all it is.
Oh,
But
yeah, cool.
I was just kidding. It was a perfectly fine opening.
But basically, don't
Sometimes he's early.
don't let it sit
Never
out.
been early.
It's
Get
good
warm.
It's always on time for me.
when you pour champagne, it's good to pour it like a beer.
I
So
did
you
it wrong.
you
At
did
an
not
angle.
do it wrong. But it kind of preserves more of the CO2 and it's not released as fast if you have poured down the side of the glass.
Oh my god.
And it's really great that you guys are drinking out of normal, regular wine glasses because when you drink out of the flute for champagne, we're going to find that it's, they're beautiful and they carry the aroma and they preserve the temperature. But now we're finding that the larger the glass is, the more you can really appreciate the aromas of the wine and the bouquet of champagne. So a lot of these kind of hybrid style glasses are being developed by Riedel and other firms that are sort of a mix between, white wine glass and a champagne flute. So they're kind of, they're very, very sleek and interesting, but I prefer to drink my champagne out of white wine glass for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
a fun fact.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question about champagne glasses really quick.
Oh, sure.
I watch a lot of Downton Abbey. I've watched it like
Lovely.
7 times now, the whole series
yes.
all the way through.
Downton Abbey.
Yes. And and they drink a lot of champagne on this show, and they drink it in the really wide glasses. And I wondered if there was a reason for that back in the day.
So I believe what thrust the goblet into fandom more or less was the Marie Antoinette goblet. They shaped one after like her tits hundreds of years ago.
I'm
And
listening.
they were like, and they put it out there, and they were like, "All right, this is pimp," and that's how that thing got popular. So the
Great.
goblet
Now
then-
Jason's gonna go buy all those.
So
Tit glasses.
little
Thanks,
known
Kristen.
pop culture. Who's the English supermodel with the bad teeth? She's like 45
Narrow it
now. You're right.
From Austin Powers?
Nope, she's got the blonde hair. She used to be so. Oh gosh,
Claudia
what's her name?
Schiffer.
Squiggy?
Is
Ellen
it
McPherson?
Twiggy?
It's got to be Claudia Schiffer, right?
No,
No,
she's
British. Either way.
British. More recent now. God, Kate something. Okay. Anyway.
Oh,
Kate.
the skinny.
Kate Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Do that.
So one of the
I
larger
love when I describe a
firms-
supermodel as skinny. That one? The
You got
skinny
it.
one?
The skinny one. With
Sure.
She's pretty, but she has bad teeth. Anyway, so look at I'm so judging. It's not good. No, it's bad.
We
So
love
anyway,
the ladies.
but
All the ladies.
they some larger brand, Veuve Clicquot or Moet, actually kind of rebirthed that idea. They made a glass that was modeled, I guess, after her, right or left. I don't know. But anyway, so the goblet, yep. So that's why it's popular. It was popular through the early 20th century. As we find what works best for wine and the proper glass for the proper style it became a thing, we soon learned that larger bowl exposes more of the champagne to the air, and then you lose the CO2 much faster. It dissipates. So the CO2 is the whole fun part and the best part about drinking a bottle of champagne. So in order to preserve that, they tightened up that opening, and then they came out with the flute. That worked a lot better for
Yeah.
what we're after.
It is really pretty, though. Just
you-
watching those bubbles
It
float
looks
up.
fantastic. Love. Oh, man, I love them. I love to drink out of them. They're super fun. Yeah, I'm not going to ever turn down, any glass. It can come in a Dixie cup. I don't care. Right? You can feed it to me or into your, in the palms of your hand. I will drink the shit out of it.
Do you think
I love
that
the
is
stuff.
it the level 5 we set where you learn if it's Kate Moss's right or left tit?
Oh, that's super advanced knowledge, right?
Only the
Yeah.
Wine Wars
Gives a
listeners.
different meaning to blind tasting.
Yeah, right. That's a whole other class, I think.
Are you drinking this champagne currently?
No, I'm drinking a Cabernet, and then I've got some Valdespino single vineyard sherry for when you guys get to yours.
We'll get to that in a
That's what I
minute.
have
This is
here. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to
So-
plow through it too fast.
It's as champagne-y as it gets.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. As far as like why, another reason I chose this wine is I'm a champagne geek. I love the stuff. I drink it just because I'm awake. Like there's no reason for
Yes.
it. Yeah,
Like
it just
it's
doesn't
Monday.
matter. Exactly. Tuesday,
I'm
Wednesday. It's
there.
People ask me like when is a great time to drink champagne, and I say try to make it to 9 a.m. And if you can do that, then life is good, right? But yeah, so it's kind of like where I am now, like just the Italian wine, the Nebbiolo, the Barbaresco is a thing from the past, and this is kind of what I've been just really been into the last few years. So it's kind of my passion within my passion. And I went to Pierre Paillard, and I got to sit with Antoine Paillard. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, ladies, a photo of him, especially. He's just like distractingly hot. Like it's just stupid.
We can put that on the blog.
Put your phones away. Put your phones away.
Yeah. No. Look up a photo so you know what I'm talking about. So I'm in Bouzy with a couple of friends. We got a car. We have a visit with them, and he took the time to meet just us. It was just the three of us with Antoine, and we got to taste through the entire lineup. And they do a Coteau Champenoise, which is the still red, they make a Pinot Noir from the Grand Cru vineyards, and it's just like, it was an amazing experience. What they do in their winery as far as experimentation, different fermenting and aging vessels, be it, clay, if it's concrete, is it oak, is it stainless steel, they just have in their tiny little winery just so many different things going on. They mess and play with, and they tinker in there. I just find that their wine, especially, this is kind of like their just normal entry-level Grand Cru Brut from Bouzy, heavy Pinot Noir that's just consistent, delicious, year after year. I love these guys. They're fantastic.
It's got a great color on it.
It didn't seem like it was excessively expensive either for a
I think
Grand Cru champagne.
$40-$50, something?
I think at Binny's, I thought it was under $40.
I don't know if it was much less than $39.99. I didn't want to pick.
It could have been $39.99.
Yeah.
Fight.
Grower champagne really for me is, I love the big, negociants and the larger maisons, and they hold a special place in my heart. Like, I will do really disgusting bad things for vintage cru. Like, if you name it, and I will do it.
I really, really like our guest tonight.
I really love Kristen.
Just gonna put that
But grower
out there.
champagne just has a whole other sort of feeling to it. When you find those growers you really like, and you know the story, and they're still 5th, 6th century, family businesses passed down, and it hasn't left the family in so long, and just all the tradition, and they just, God, I love it. It's the true farm-to-table version of champagne, and it's just kind of those things we're all sort of into now to feel better about, buying iPhones.
You said a piece of nomenclature that I don't think we've ever talked about on the show, which is vintage champagne. You want to tell our listeners about that?
So sure. So vintage champagne is a champagne that's made by a producer that expresses the fruit from a single year. So normally champagnes are a blend of various varieties, various vineyards from different villages, as well as different years. So historically, the reason to create the sort of blend of different vintages, different years, was because Champagne is such a marginal climate. It's so hard to get grapes to ripen every year that you needed reserves, because if you came into a shit vintage, well, you got some stock from last year, which is opulent and good, then you could continue to make your product and feed the masses. So that was kind of the historical background of it. And now we still have a lot of those same ideas and same reasons for having those back stocks, but now it's to make a house style that's consistent year after year. So you use a reserve from 1, 2, 3. In the case of Krug, 25 years ago, they're still pulling reserve. So any bottle of Krug, well over 100 different plots and wines go into making that one non-vintage cuvee every single disgorgement. Wow. Like, it's crazy. But vintage then would be, instead of having those stocks, you just have the expression of the year. So being that it's a marginal climate, we didn't always have vintage champagnes, kind of like port. They didn't always declare it every year. Sometimes it was just maybe 3 times a decade. But now that the French are kind of calling climate change the good problem, we're finding that ripeness and opulent fruit and clean fruit are things that we can expect or do happen more frequently. So vintages have also then become more frequent. So you really can build verticals if you're a collector of champagne.
Cool.
That are just fantastic. And why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? It's just,
sounds like a wine nerd dream come true.
Yeah. Oh, man. We have in Binny's, in our larger flagship store in Lincoln Park, we've got an area in the store called the Champagne Depot. I think it's like 11,000 square feet of fizz. And I always say, when the zombie apocalypse goes down, you better meet me there, because I'm locking that door and I am just going for it, Yeah.
Putting the address in my phone right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Can Jason or Kristen, can you say the name, the full deets on the particular wine that we're enjoying right now?
She'll have to say the name.
Pierre Paillard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the Les Parcelles. It's the Grand Cru, primarily fruit from a Grand Cru village called Bouzy. So
Bouzy.
Bouzy, I know Bouzy. Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
My favorite.
Bouzy.
I've been saying that for ages. I just love it. Yeah.
This might be my favorite ever.
Different from a lot of areas, the Champenois, they rate their villages. So it's called the Échelle de Cru, and there are 17 Grand Cru villages and 44 Premier Cru villages. But all in all, there are 319 total Cru villages. So those, if they say Grand Cru Bouzy, it's not a particular vineyard. It's actually vineyards that are sourced around the Grand Cru village of Bouzy. So Bouzy in the Montagne de Reims. What's that?
Wine is simple. Wine is easy.
I would say wine is like golf. It is as hard as you want to make it. You know, like depends on how good you want to be, right? That's all that matters. But anyway, so it's sourced in Bouzy, primarily a Pinot Noir Grand Cru village. So we're going to find because of the undulating hills and southeastern exposure and the soils, Pinot Noir just does very well there. So you'll find a lot of Paillard. What they do is very Pinot Noir heavy. Not every cru they make, but this particular one, I believe, is generally 60-40 is kind of how they roll.
You're correct.
Yeah.
We should explain what it tastes like for listeners.
Like heaven.
It's like
It's got heaven on the nose.
butterscotch, buttermilk, cookies, like ginger snaps almost a little bit too. It's
Nice,
amazing.
yeah.
It's not extra biscuity like it could be.
It's like a flaky
Yeah.
butter biscuit, and by biscuit I mean a cookie. You know,
It's
British biscuit.
it's very subtle. It's got some lovely
Like
fruit.
shortbread.
Yeah.
But good kind of appley, a little bit of a citrus nose on there. A little bit of a honeysuckle. Last time I tasted it, but
I was going to say toasted almond.
I just love the grower champagne. It's just such great value and such great care.
Apple for sure. Now that you said that.
Green apple,
Teeny tiny bubbles.
which is
That's
how
right.
Anne likes them.
It's really a nice champain.
It's very nice.
Beautiful. Amy is like
outstanding.
slipped away into this like Calgon situation.
Yeah, this is kind of life changing for me right now because
Yeah.
I talked about the wine that I never wanted to taste again, and this is the one I never
Want to
stop.
want to give up.
Yeah, like you're gonna be annoyed when it's just like not around tomorrow. You know? Yeah.
I'm gonna wake
I know
up.
where we can get more though.
So now you guys know, why I say Nebbiolo and champagne. Between the two, like you really don't need anything else.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Of course, it's not fair. There's so many great wines out there. I love so many others, but like I said, Nebbiolo, champagne, they're my faves.
Am I right
So-
that you're teaching the French portion of the WSET? Isn't there
I'm sorry, could you-
isn't there a separate at WSET a full course on just French wine?
Through the Wine Scholar Guild, I teach the French Wine Scholar class. So that's a different kind of institution, if you will, that we also accredit and certify through the American Wine School. Yeah, so it's not WCT, it's the Wine Scholar Guild. Yeah, they do a French Wine Scholar, Italian Wine Scholar, which comes in two parts because Italy is a hog to learn Spanish, and they're
Worse
pretty
than
great.
France? Italy's?
Yes, hands down, so hard.
How is
All
that
those
possible?
indigenous varieties, they have like however many thousands of varieties, permissible, and all the minor players and these blends and the terroirs, and it is terribly hard.
Wow.
Italian wine. Yeah.
Wow.
I think, but who cares what I think? She's laughing. She's got the bubbles are getting to
Well,
her.
I thought of a really lame joke.
Say it.
It was terroirably hard.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome. I'm gonna write that.
She's just nodding. We can just see her nodding.
You can use it in your class.
I don't know that.
The following people have been fired. Amy
Cheers.
Kennedy.
Raise your hand if
That
you're
is
still
all.
employed.
Cheers.
Okay, so now I'm curious, French wine scholar. Can you do that without going through the WSETs or
They're mutually exclusive. They're not the same. It's a totally different course.
And you could
So-
just take the French
Just take
section.
FWS.
That sounds really fun to me.
Yeah. So the French Wine Scholar is not in any way related to the Wine and Spirit Education.
How
class
hard
here.
is this? Tell me more.
French Wine Scholar is pretty detailed, pretty
Okay.
in depth. Yeah.
Is that a 2-day event as well, or how long is that?
Trade
When we run it, it runs over several months.
Ooh.
Wow. When we went
You
to
come down
France,
with, like,
I don't
once.
got time for that shit.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I got a little bit of.
she said, "Ain't got time for that shit."
Oh, yes, you do, girl. Yes, you do. At least for the champagne day.
Well,
Everybody
I'll
has
just
time
quit
for
my
that.
job. It'll be
There
fine.
you go. There you go.
She was our interpreter the whole time we were in France, and she did a great job.
Oh,
Good.
that's nice.
Good
Do
to
you
hear.
speak? Do you speak French?
Poorly. Yeah. Poorly. Yeah, but I'm there and I have to.
It
Get
has to
people around.
help you in your studies to know Italian and French.
It does, yeah, and just kind of good pronunciation of the various regions and grapes sort of helps to give you a bit of credibility,
Sure.
I guess on top of it. But yes, it absolutely helps. It makes the world a lot easier. The more languages I speak, the easier things are, especially
Yeah.
moving and traveling and things. So yeah,
Tell
a lot
us
of benefits.
what's is there anything at this point that's new or intriguing to you that you're hoping to learn more about?
Yeah,
What's the next
gosh.
frontier for you?
Well, so the next frontier in travel is I'm going to Sherry, which is the next wine on the docket. So I'm going to Sherry at the end of September, and I've just kind of been enamored with the region. I think it's still quite a bit arcane. And you can make it as simple as you want, but who's doing what and all the small bodegas and the new, smaller producers that are coming out. I just find Sherry to be an amazing category. And the fact that Sherry is becoming more popular on a whole in the United States, I think is a very special thing. We're kind of in the midst of this just renaissance in sherry culture, and people are learning how to pair sherry, fino, manzanilla, amontillado with various kinds of cuisine from around the world. And I think it's just kind of like, this is it. Sherry's the next kind of new thing, I think, for everyone.
Well, let's start
Get
there.
me some sherry.
That's a nice little transition. I have never had sherry in my life. I think, did we taste it in
At the WST we did.
And I was like, why does this happen?
You didn't like it? You didn't?
You didn't. You had the fino. You had the
I
fino sherry.
think so.
I think so.
So
wow,
it's
the color.
it's polarizing, for
Oh, is
sure.
it like our nays
It's-
polarizing?
I think even more so. In the style of
Whoa.
fino, I would say it is.
Ooh.
So this is an Amontillado. It's a fortified wine, so careful.
Careful.
That's got some pretty high ABVs in there. So anyway, it can be an acquired taste, but for me it's delicious. So I've got a fino in my glass. The main grape here in sherry is Palomino Fino. Of course, comes on their lovely chalk Albariza soils. This particular expression is aged underneath a protective layer of yeast called flor. So the wine doesn't come in contact with any air. So you don't get any oxidative aromas, just biological or aromas aged under that protective layer of yeast. And so that's what I have here. So it smells kind of like white nuts and green apple and citrus and a little bit yeasty. So then this wine, after it's aged for 3 to some producers, maybe 5, 6, 7 years, is taken and fortified to 17, 18%, and then aged in another Solera system oxidatively, and that is Amontillado, and that's what you guys have. So you have a wine that started like mine, which is a fino, was fortified then a second time to a higher ABV, 17, 18%, and then placed through another fractional blending Solera, and then what they took from that Solera was Amontillado.
I don't know if I understand everything you've just said, but basically, here's how I interpret it. Yours looks white, mine looks pink.
Ours is
Absolutely.
brownish, yeah.
So they took this.
Where did the color come from?
Because color comes from oxygen. So if you don't have the oxidative aging, it's reductive. You're not going to get any change of color. But then they took this and then they let it touch the oxygen over the course of years, and that's where liquor and wine get its color. It's from oxygen and wood aging. So
Ours
that's why
touched
bourbon is brown and scotch can sometimes be dark and all those things. Yes.
Okay.
This is actually better than I think the sherry I had. My only experience with sherry, which was like, wow, is that stringent and high alcohol? And this,
Yeah, I think you had the fino. Yeah.
Okay. So Fino's the most alcohol.
Nope. It's the least, but it's just not aged. It doesn't have any oxidative aroma, so it's quite, like I said, polarizing because it can smell very yeasty, like pizza dough,
Gotcha.
and be kind of light and a bit acidic, and so people can have a hard time if they don't know it. It's definitely super pungent and can be off-putting if you don't know what to expect.
Gotcha.
I did not like it years ago when I first tasted it, but now I love the stuff. So
And what would you pair this with? Is this a dessert wine?
My Fino, I would probably pair with a light salad, probably with some sort of anchovies or chicken, like a Caesar salad with anchovy dressing. Fino sherry is fantastic. Yeah. Yours, I would probably pair with a roasted chicken dish. I would say would probably be the best, or duck even would be lovely. Yeah.
I really like, and it's more of an aftertaste thing for me with sherry. Like it just sits in your mouth for forever because it's so cloying.
They can have an awfully long finish. It should be relatively dry, that wine. So I don't know about any sort of cloying there, but because cloying, we reserve that word to describe a wine that's so sweet with no acidity.
Yeah.
It's just flabby and cloying on the palate.
Yeah.
So this might be like it's just got a very persistent finish to you.
I think I meant more clinging.
Clinging.
What I meant to say.
Yeah, which normally you don't want. You don't want any clingers in any sense of the word, but here we'll take that long finish for sure. So
it's like toasted pine nuts.
I get macadamia nut.
Yep.
I
Those
get
are typical.
old person.
Old person.
Grandpa.
Grandpa. Smells like grandpa. It does.
I keep seeing the
What's
dowager
that?
from Downton Abbey, Countess Dowager lady, Maggie Smith, drinking a little glass.
Dame Maggie Smith.
Dame Maggie Smith.
Grandpa's basement. Is it
That's
must?
a perfect show for champagne and sherry because those people would be drinking a ton, a buttload of both. Yeah, for sure.
So geographically, sherry, can you describe where we'll find that?
Yeah, you'll find it in what is called lovingly the Sherry Triangle, which is sort of southwestern Spain, in an area called Jerez by the port of Cadiz, just west of Port of Cadiz. So it's 3 cities. I don't really say them very well because you can either say them with your, fake Spanish accent or say them like an Anglophile. So that it's Jerez and San Ricardo Bermeda and Puerto de Santa Maria. And those are the 3 main cities that make up the Sherry Triangle.
So it's pretty warm down there, right?
Warm Mediterranean climate. It's hotter than hell during the growing season. Yeah.
And you're going?
I'm going end of September.
Oh,
Have you been before?
Jealous.
So excited. I know. I'm going to Italy for a couple of days, 4 days, then Madrid, then down to south of Spain for a wedding. And then there I'll go to Sherry and spend some time and see some bodegas. So it looks like Hidalgo I'll see, Lustau, Gonzales Bias so far. Got those guys confirmed. So
Do you ever need people to just like tag along and carry your luggage?
Well, I've got my boyfriend is going to actually do that this time.
Nice.
But next time it'll be you. We'll do a girls trip. Yeah.
I see how
I
it
don't
is.
know.
It's a lot of fun.
Wine Warriors.
You don't. This isn't your jam.
I want to know if it's your jam, Scott.
I like this more than I like port.
Really?
Oh, I like
Cool.
it.
I'm not
Very
a big.
cool.
I'm not a big port fan.
Well, you might need it with food.
Yeah.
You know,
Port,
that's going to
yeah.
change things a lot for you. Go make some popcorn and come back to that sherry, and you'll sing a different song.
I like popcorn.
That is a thing we could do.
What do you think of it?
I like it more than I thought I would. Like the first couple of sips, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be my thing. And now I'm thinking, yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah. It's just one of those things like,
It's a sipping wine.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, it's not a glugging wine.
Yeah.
No, it is not a porch pounder, as they say.
Oh, I like that.
I bought this bottle for WSET with the because I knew it was going to be in the class, and
Yep.
I was going to pop it and try it, and we never got to it. So I'm really happy that we opened this after, because I was like, no way. So I'm actually enjoying this far better.
It's a different style than what you had, for sure. So, yeah, it's a different wine altogether.
And
So,
what's the producer on this?
This is Lustau.
Lustau,
Or
yeah.
I guess Lustau, yeah.
I could, now that you say that, I could see pouring a bit of it in a glass and watching a whole movie.
Yes.
Just sipping through a
Sip a little
whole
bit.
movie.
Yep, little sips. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not like the champ. I mean, when you two were pouring it, I'm like, you just.
Yeah, no, I didn't know I'm
Too
going to have
much.
to. Yeah. Too much.
Yeah.
But yes,
Never too much. No.
I'm
Just
going to
drink
need
it
the whole
slow.
Harry Potter series to make it through the glass I poured.
Well, I had 2 sips and I am wasted.
I know that too.
Yeah, it's a lot of alcohol in those sherries.
What percent are we talking?
17?
Jade, what do you got
So,
there?
yep, there are 17, 18 in between after evaporation.
18.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. It's going to be a party. So,
Amen.
You're looking to do some trips around the world. You're going to be a wine podcaster yourself.
Yes, so we're doing the podcast, with WGN and Binny's. We're teaming up with them downtown Chicago, and we're going to get together and get it started. So you guys have a lot of balls, man, to do it, because I'm totally nervous. We have the kind of subjects we want to talk about and things we want to say, and my whole job with the podcast, I think, and my message is just to kind of just make it easier, more approachable. So just kind of market trends, what's going on around, the state, what we're doing in the store, events, and then just kind of, just easing the minds, making it fun, making it easy, and promoting the good stuff. And
You're going to
we're
be
here to do.
great at this. I am absolutely going to listen to your
gosh,
podcast.
I hope so. We'll see.
Will it also be explicit, or?
I know. Yeah, I was going to say if it were my own, it would be a much different podcast. Yes, but corporate directives be as they are. We will say clean words the whole time.
So
boring.
How will folks,
I know, right, John?
How can folks be sure to just follow Binny's, perhaps, and then they'll know how to find you on your podcast?
Yeah, so we're going to advertise through Binny's social and whatnot, and then also with WGN as well. So you'll be able to find us in all areas, wherever you get your podcast. You'll be able to find Barrel to Bottle with Binny's coming soon in October. So we start to tape in a month. So
that's exciting.
And if it goes well, you have 12 episodes. If it goes well, then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Are you doing one a month, or what's the release schedule on that?
We're doing 4 a month. So
every week.
More
Great.
or less, yeah.
Impressive.
So right now it looks like kind of 2 wine, 1 beer, 1 spirits, and just going from there. So
very
just
exciting.
talking about the things
setup.
that we like and what we think is good, kind of our obsessions at the moment. Yeah, it's just.
Are you going to have co-hosts, or is it all your?
I most certainly am. Because it's, variety is the spice of life. So I've got a couple of people lined up that I think are just going to be, I get along very well with. So I think that's important, there's going to be a good rapport there, and we already, had a beer or 2 together. So we understand the witty banter. I mean, I think you're going to be able to feel that emotion that we like each other, work well together, and we're all kind of united with this just, big goal is to just help everybody celebrate their lives via whatever you like, is to make it better. And I think wine, beer, and spirits help to do that. So that's our goal. So we have people from the spirits division, from beer, blah, 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 coming in, and it's going to be lovely. Yeah, we're going to do one. The gentleman who kind of made this all possible, or one of them, is Ro Khan. He's a host for WGN, and he does kind of the evening show, high traffic volume, if you will. And he's fantastic, and he's a veteran in the business. So we're going to have him on as a guest. We're going to put him against a master somm.
Ooh.
And we're going to call it Khan versus the Somm, and it's going to be
I love it.
baddie. It's going to be crazy.
That's good.
Exactly. Wait, that's a different.
That's a Star Trek joke. God.
Jason can record your sound effects for that if you need.
There is a Star Trek and wine podcast out there. We know what you're doing.
We see what you're up to.
Yeah. I think they're called 7 of Wine.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Wow.
I know.
No,
I see
cool. That's
You
great.
guys rock.
It's a great idea.
Well, it is.
So that's it. That's the Binny's podcast. Thanks for the shameless plug. I appreciate that very much.
Well, welcome to the wine podcasting world. It is a really nice, welcoming environment. We've met a handful of other people kind of in this same realm of wine education and entertainment, and it is all just positive attitude, people just wanting to share their love of wine, and people like yourself doing this. And it's not a competition. 7 of Wine, it's not a competition. But so looking forward to it, looking forward to listening, and
Cool,
we'll
thanks.
retweet the hell out of it.
So
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very happy to join the community and hope to just serve everybody the best I can. That's what we're about. Just like you guys. So it's great. This has been so much fun. Are you feeling the love? I'm feeling the
I
love.
have all the feels right now.
It's not just the fortified wine talking.
No.
It's for real.
Amy's completely
when they
blissed
say, when
out
you know,
a
you
little
know.
cloud of champagne bubbles.
It's the Pierre Paillard Grand Cru that will do it to you every darn time.
Kristen, tell us this, because Wine Wars,
What's up?
the Star Wars piece of it is, I think it's kind of like a little clue. It's like, yeah, we like wine and we like Star Wars, but basically then the listener knows they're getting a set of people who are of the Star Wars generation. And that means we also quote, I don't know, Wayne's World a lot and Ghostbuster, like sort of
Back to the Future.
Yeah, that stuff. So it's all
So basically, you're crossing your T's and dotting your lowercase J's, right? Just making sure.
Amen. That. But along with that, then
You started it.
comes this obsession with Stranger Things. Are you a Stranger Things fan?
I know I'm not, unfortunately. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, striking out.
Get
it's okay.
into it.
For Kristen and for all listeners,
That's what I
just
hear.
like heads up, new Stranger Things comes out in
Halloween Day.
Halloween Day. So we
I
here
believe.
at the Spectator household will be rewatching season 1 to prepare for season 2. And I just encourage folks to follow along, get on it. Season 1 yourself, then let's do season 2 together because it's important.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could start a separate
Separate
podcast.
Wine and things.
Stranger Things podcast.
Strange wine and things.
Stranger wine, yeah.
Stranger wine. There you go.
All sherry and port.
If anyone takes that from me, I swear to God, I'm going to be so pissed.
Yeah. Get it started now. You
Okay.
should.
All right. Well, Kristen, I'm excited for you because you'll get to watch Stranger Things for the first time. So
I want that.
Have fun with that.
I'll get on it.
Binge it on Netflix. It's so much fun.
No problem. Plenty of lazy Sundays for that, so no worries. Yeah.
Awesome.
all right. Is there anything we didn't cover, Kristen?
I just don't, my Star Wars itch just hasn't been scratched. Like, we haven't really. Like,
So, well, there are many Star Wars pieces of news to know. Number one.
Okay. I got to come away with something here.
Yeah.
I need to take away from this.
I think first off, Ron Howard took over the Han Solo standalone movie. That's
true.
super cool.
How is it? How do people feel?
I feel very happy about that.
I do too.
I really want him to narrate it the way that he did Arrested Development.
Ron Howard's the shiznazzy snip snap. He's the best.
God, it would be
I
so great.
had beers with him when that
No!
We almost signed off without that.
Richie Cunningham. I was, toe to toe with him at a bar, slurking down some.
Talk
light
about
beer.
burying the lead.
Yeah, what did he drink?
We just he had pitchers of beer for the whole crew. They were filming Angels and Demons in Rome, and they went to this sports bar called the Abbey, where that was like our cheers. So like my whole expat group, blah blah blah, we hung out there, and so it was very customary during sporting events that you have to reserve your table. So we went in to get our tables for the Euro Cup, and when Spain won, like 2008. And anyway, go in and. Like, where's our table? And they're like, you're upstairs. And we always want to be down in the bar where the action is. And we're like, fucking upstairs. What are you talking about? And they're like, go. And we were like, put up a fit. We're like, we don't want to go upstairs. We want to be down here. And finally, my girl, Jennifer, she goes, go upstairs. Sweet low voice. So then, I'm like, oh, shit. So I ran upstairs. And we go up in the private room, and there's Tom Hanks and Ron Howard and the entire cast and crew of Angels and Demons. And our reserved table was with them. So we watched the game with all those dudes. And so I was like, Richie, I went to college in Milwaukee, dude. Yeah. And so we sat and had some drinks. And he probably doesn't remember at all.
Was you and McGregor
that
there?
We had beers, but no, I didn't see him. But it was fun because we kind of talked to makeup artists and cast and crew and lighting guys. I mean, everybody was up there apart from Ewan. But,
That is so cool.
Were they cool?
No, they were super cool.
Tom Hanks was cool.
Yeah, Tom Hanks was cool.
Okay.
I didn't get to talk to him like I did Ron Howard.
I always hear he's cool.
He's the guy from the Burbs, right?
The guy from the Burbs,
he's the guy from the Burbs. Shit.
Nothing else.
Lest you forget. Yeah, I think he was wearing the same shirt you have on.
Who else is
that
in the
movie
Burbs?
too? Yeah.
Carrie
Fisher.
I know.
She's also in
Star Wars.
Oh.
Full circle. I like that.
And you
Somehow
McGregor
Kevin
is
Bacon's
Obi-Wan
involved.
Kenobi, so come on.
Boom.
Bam.
Wow.
Cool. Well, anyway, listen, you guys are fantastic.
Thank
I
you
really
for coming
appreciate
on.
the
It's been a
opportunity.
blast.
Yeah. No,
Thank
it has
you.
been.
Please come back
Anytime.
again.
Happy to do it.
All right.
Super fun.
Whenever.
So that's been Wine Wars for this week. Please rate and review us on iTunes. And for real, we would love a rate or a review on iTunes. That would be sweet. And then also let us know what you think of the show, or if you have any requests for future shows at winewarspodcast@gmail.com. And of course, follow along on social media. We're on the Insta and the Facebook and the Twitter, all at Wine Wars Podcast. All right, folks, that's the Wine Wars for this week. Until next time, please remember,
It's
just grape juice.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wine Wars.